My brother claimed the entire $11 million estate. Little did he know I'd already sold it and moved the money offshore. You're not in the will, Sienna. Dad made his choice. Austin's voice carried across the funeral reception hall, loud enough for every mourning relative to hear. He stood there in his expensive black suit, my father's lawyer beside him, holding up documents like they were weapons. I froze with a coffee cup halfway to my lips. Around me, 50 faces turned to stare. Some looked sympathetic, most looked away. My sister-in-law Brianna smirked from behind Austin, her hand protectively on their son's shoulder. The entire estate goes to me, Austin continued, his voice dripping with false regret. Dad's final wishes were clear. You abandoned this family 15 years ago when you left for college. He never forgave you for that. My younger brother Wesley stood by the window, staring at his shoes. He wouldn't meet my eyes. The room buzzed with whispers. I could hear the judgment in every word. I set down my coffee cup very carefully. Is that so? Austin nodded, looking almost sympathetic now. Playing the gracious victor. I'm sorry, sis, but you made your choices. I smiled. Just a small one. My name is Sienna Calloway, and my brother just made the biggest mistake of his life. Growing up, Austin was everything I wasn't. The golden child, the one who stayed close to home, who worked in Dad's real estate development company, who gave him grandchildren. I was the daughter who abandoned the family by accepting a scholarship to study finance 3 states away. Dad never forgave me for leaving. Every phone call home was shorter than the last. Every visit felt like an interrogation about when I'd move back, when I'd quit my little job in Chicago, when I'd stop being selfish. Austin fed into it. He'd tell Dad I was too busy for family. That I thought I was better than him now. That I'd forgotten where I came from. None of it was true, but Dad believed every word. When Mom died 10 years ago, I tried to come home more. But Austin had already poisoned that well. Family dinners where I wasn't invited. Holidays where I found out too late. Slowly, deliberately, he cut me out. Wesley, caught in the middle, chose silence over sides. Which meant he chose Austin. Dad's business grew into an empire worth $11 million. And I watched from the outside, knowing I'd never be part of it. Or so they thought. 3 months before Dad died, I got a call at 2 a.m. It was Dad, his voice weak and confused. He didn't recognize me at first. Said he needed help, that something was wrong with the numbers. I drove 6 hours straight. Found him in his study, surrounded by financial documents he couldn't make sense of anymore. The dementia had been progressing faster than anyone admitted. Who are you? He asked when I walked in. I'm Sienna, your daughter. He stared at me for a long moment. Then something cleared in his eyes. The smart one. The one who left. I'm here now, I said quietly. Over the next 3 months, I visited every weekend. Austin was too busy running the business to notice. Wesley lived 2 hours away and visited monthly. Brianna never came at all. It was just me and Dad, sitting in that study, him drifting in and out of clarity. During his lucid moments, he talked about regrets, about Austin's financial mistakes in the business, about how he'd pushed me away because I reminded him too much of my mother's independence, and about how he'd never actually updated his will after Mom died. The original will, written when Mom was alive, split everything equally between Austin and me. Wesley was mentioned but not as an heir because he'd been adopted later and Dad's lawyer had said it would require a completely new document. Dad kept saying he needed to update it, to include Wesley properly, to reflect his current wishes. But he never did. The dementia made him forget, then made him unable. Austin didn't know this. He'd assumed Dad had written a new will years ago, cutting me out like he'd been cut out of our Sunday dinners. Like he'd been planning. But there was a problem. With Dad's mental state declining, the business was suffering. Austin was making decisions without proper oversight. Bad investments. Risky developments. The company was bleeding money. I saw it in the documents scattered across Dad's desk. I saw it in the quarterly reports Austin never bothered to hide because he thought no one else understood them. I understood them perfectly. I'd spent 15 years analyzing company finances for a living. The business is in trouble, I told Dad during one of his clear moments. He nodded slowly. Austin doesn't know what he's doing. Never did. I just wanted to believe. I know. Dad died on a Tuesday morning in April. Austin called me 3 hours after it happened, his voice flat. Dad's gone. Funeral Saturday. No apology for the delay in telling me. No emotion. Just facts. I flew in Friday night. The funeral was everything Dad would have wanted. Expensive. Crowded. Full of business associates who'd respected his success. Austin played the grieving son perfectly. Shaking hands. Accepting condolences. Acting like he'd been by Dad's side until the end. I sat in the back row. Wesley sat with Austin's family. Nobody asked me to sit closer. At the reception afterward, I made coffee and stayed quiet. Let people offer their condolences. Waited for what I knew was coming. Austin waited until the room was full. Then he made his announcement. Loud, public, designed to humiliate me one final time. You're not in the will, Sienna. I let him finish his speech. Let him hand me the fake lawyer's letter. Let him soak in his moment of victory. Then I excused myself and left. I had calls to make. My lawyer, Dominic Shaw, answered on the first ring. Is it done? He just publicly declared himself the sole heir, I said, walking to my rental car. In front of 50 witnesses. Perfect. Did he mention the specific assets? The entire estate. $11 million. I started the engine. He has no idea the estate doesn't exist anymore. Dominic laughed. It wasn't a kind sound. I'll file the paperwork Monday morning. This is going to be beautiful. Here's what Austin didn't know. Dad had given me power of attorney 4 months ago, during one of his last truly lucid periods. He'd been terrified of what would happen to the business under Austin's control. You're the only one who knows numbers, he'd said, signing the papers with shaking hands. Fix this, before Austin destroys everything I built. So I did. I spent 3 months quietly dismantling the empire Austin thought he was inheriting. Every property was sold, every asset liquidated, every investment cashed out. I did it carefully, through shell companies and private sales, making sure nothing raised red flags. The money went into offshore accounts. Untouchable, unreachable, gone. Monday morning, Austin called me. His voice was different now. Uncertain. Sienna, we need to talk about Dad's estate. The lawyer says there are some complications. What kind of complications? I kept my voice neutral. The properties. They're not. I mean, the deeds are. He struggled to find words. Can you come to the office? I'm flying back to Chicago this afternoon. This is important. Now he sounded angry. This is about Dad's legacy. Then you should have thought about that before you cut me out of it. I hung up. He called back immediately. I didn't answer. Dominic called next. Austin just contacted the probate court. He's trying to claim the estate. They told him the estate is valued at approximately $8,000. The funeral costs more than that, I said. Exactly. He's losing his mind. Apparently, he's been trying to access the company accounts and everything's frozen or empty. The properties are all sold. The investments are gone. He thinks it's a mistake. It's not a mistake. No. Dominic agreed. It's justice. The calls started that night. First Austin, then Brianna, then Wesley. I didn't answer any of them. Then my phone rang from a number I didn't recognize. I answered out of curiosity. Sienna, it's Wesley. His voice was quiet. Austin's freaking out. He says Dad's entire estate is gone. That someone stole it. Someone? I repeated. He thinks maybe Dad's business partner. Or the accountant. He's threatening to sue everyone. Wesley paused. Did you know about this? Know about what? The money. It's all gone. Like, everything. The company accounts are empty. The properties are sold. Austin showed me the bank statements. There's nothing left. I let the silence stretch. Then I said, maybe Dad had debts nobody knew about. $11 million in debts? I'm just saying, Austin didn't know everything about Dad's business. None of us did. Wesley was quiet for a long moment. You did something. I'm in Chicago, Wesley. What could I have done? But he knew. I could hear it in his breathing. Austin's going to figure it out. Let him try. Tuesday morning, the lawsuit arrived. Austin was suing me for theft, fraud, and elder abuse. The amount, $11 million plus damages. Dominic called, laughing. He actually did it. He's suing you for stealing an inheritance you legally controlled through power of attorney. Can he win? Not a chance. You have every document proving Dad gave you legal authority. Every sale was legitimate. Every transfer was authorized. Austin doesn't have a leg to stand on. He paused. But here's the beautiful part. By suing you, he's creating a public record of his attempted theft of the estate. How so? The original will split everything between you and him. By claiming sole ownership, he committed fraud. His fake lawyer letter, also fraud. We have 50 witnesses who heard him declare himself the only heir. He just handed us everything we need. I smiled. When do we file our countersuit? Already drafted. We're suing him for attempted estate fraud, defamation, and emotional distress. Plus, we're asking the court to honor Dad's actual will, which means you get half of whatever's left. Which is $8,000. Which is $8,000, Dominic agreed cheerfully. Split 2 ways. He gets $4,000. After 15 years of cutting you out, after all his schemes, Austin Calloway gets exactly $4,000 from Dad's estate. The news spread through the family like wildfire. I got calls from aunts and uncles I hadn't spoken to in years. Some were angry. Some were confused. All of them wanted to know what really happened. I told him the truth. Dad gave me power of attorney. I managed his estate legally. The business was failing under Austin's management, so I sold everything before it collapsed completely. But where did the money go? My Aunt Felicity demanded. That's between me and Dad's lawyers, I said calmly. She called me ungrateful, said I'd betrayed the family, that I was just as bad as Austin claimed. I hung up and blocked her number. The only person who didn't call was Wesley. He sent a text instead. I should have said something at the funeral. I'm sorry. I stared at his message for a long time before responding. You had 15 years to say something. His reply came immediately. I know. That's why I'm sorry. It wasn't enough, but it was something. Austin's lawsuit went nowhere. His lawyer, the real one this time, withdrew from the case after seeing the power of attorney documents. The fake lawyer who'd helped him at the funeral disappeared completely. Dominic's countersuit, however, gained traction. The court ordered Austin to appear for a deposition, to explain why he'd publicly declared himself sole heir when the actual will said otherwise. He's claiming he believed that's what Dad wanted, Dominic told me over the phone. That Dad had verbally told him the estate was his. Verbal promises don't override written wills. Exactly. The judge already ruled in our favor on the fraud claim. Austin's going to owe you damages. How much? Enough to make him uncomfortable. The judge is particularly annoyed about the public humiliation aspect. Announcing it at a funeral, in front of witnesses, with a fake lawyer present. Dominic sounded gleeful. It's textbook malicious intent. I thought about that funeral. About standing there with my coffee cup, hearing Austin declare I was nothing to Dad. Seeing the smug look on Brianna's face. Good. I said. 3 weeks after the funeral, I got a call from an unknown number. This time it was Brianna. You need to stop this, she said without preamble. Austin's reputation is being destroyed. His clients are asking questions. People think he's a thief. People think correctly, I replied. He was just trying to protect the family legacy. You were never here. You never cared about Dad's business. I cared enough to save it from bankruptcy while Austin was running it into the ground. Her voice turned sharp. Where's the money, Sienna? What did you do with it? That's none of your concern. It's $11 million. You can't just make that disappear. Watch me. She hung up, but I knew this wasn't over. Brianna was the brains behind Austin's schemes. If anyone would figure out what really happened, it would be her. I called Dominic. Austin's wife is asking about the money. Let her ask. The offshore accounts are bulletproof. Everything was done legally. They can't touch it. What about taxes? All handled. Your accountant structured it perfectly. He paused. You know what the beauty of this is? Even if they prove you have the money, they can't claim it. Dad gave you legal authority. You didn't steal anything. You managed his estate exactly as you were authorized to do. The deposition was scheduled for a Thursday. I flew in to attend, though I didn't have to. I just wanted to see Austin's face. He looked terrible, thinner than I remembered. His expensive suit hung loose on his frame. The golden child image was cracking. His lawyer tried to paint me as a manipulative daughter who'd taken advantage of a sick old man, who'd isolated Dad in his final months, who'd stolen an empire. Dominic destroyed every argument with documentation. Visitor logs showing Austin had seen Dad exactly 3 times in those final months. Financial records proving the business was failing. Expert testimony about Dad's lucid periods and his clear understanding when signing the power of attorney. The judge finally interrupted. Mr. Calloway, did you or did you not present yourself as the sole heir to your father's estate at his funeral reception? Austin shifted in his seat. I believed that's what he wanted. That's not what I asked. Did you present yourself as the sole heir? Yes or no? Yes. Despite having no legal documentation to support that claim, Austin's lawyer jumped in. Your Honor, my client was acting on verbal assurances from the deceased. Verbal assurances that contradict the written will filed with this court. The judge looked at Austin with clear disgust. I'm ruling in favor of the defendant on all counts. The judgment came down 2 weeks later. Austin owed me $200,000 in damages for defamation and emotional distress. The fake lawyer letter was deemed fraudulent. Austin was ordered to publicly retract his claims about the inheritance. He posted a stilted apology on social media. I was mistaken about the terms of my father's estate. I apologize for any confusion. The comments section was brutal. Friends and business associates asking what really happened. Clients saying they were reconsidering their contracts. Competitors smelling blood in the water. Austin's construction company, the one he built separate from Dad's business, started losing contracts. Nobody wanted to work with someone who'd been publicly exposed for estate fraud. Brianna called again. This time she was crying. You've destroyed us, she sobbed. Austin's business is falling apart. We might lose the house. Our son's college fund is gone. Gone where? I asked carefully. Austin used it to pay the judgment. To pay you. Her voice filled with venom. Are you happy now? You've ruined your own nephew's future. I thought about that nephew. The one who'd stood at the funeral, watching his father humiliate me. Who'd been taught that I was the bad daughter who abandoned the family. Your husband destroyed himself, I said. I just refused to go down with him. Wesley called that night. Can we meet? Just us. No lawyers, no drama. We met at a coffee shop halfway between our cities. He looked older than I remembered. Tired. I should have defended you at the funeral, he said immediately. I should have said something when Austin announced you weren't in the will. I knew it was wrong. But you didn't. I was scared. Austin's always been intense. And I thought, maybe this time I could stay out of it. Just keep my head down. He stirred his coffee. I was wrong. Yes, you were. Where's the money, Sienna? I looked at him for a long moment. Why do you want to know? Because Austin thinks you're going to give it all to me. That you liquidated everything to keep it from him, and now you'll share it with your real family. Wesley laughed bitterly. He actually asked me to convince you to give me half. What did you say? I said you don't owe me anything. That I chose silence for 15 years, and that has consequences. I felt something soften in my chest. Just a little. The money's safe, I said finally. Dad wanted it protected from Austin's mismanagement. That's what I did. Are you going to keep it all? Why shouldn't I? Wesley nodded slowly. No reason. You earned it. You were there when nobody else was. You saved what was left before Austin could destroy it completely. 3 months after the funeral, I established the Calloway Foundation, a charitable trust focused on financial literacy and supporting first-generation college students. The kind of students who got scholarships and left home and were called selfish for wanting more. I funded it with $2 million from the offshore accounts. Put my name on it. Made it public. The irony wasn't lost on anyone. The daughter who'd been accused of stealing was giving away millions while the golden son who tried to claim everything was drowning in debt. Austin's social media went dark after that. Brianna's too. They couldn't compete with the optics of my generosity. But I got a letter from Austin. Handwritten. Mailed to my office in Chicago. You win, it said. You've destroyed everything Dad built. Destroyed me. Destroyed our family name. I hope you're satisfied. I read it twice, then put it in a file labeled, evidence. Just in case. Because Austin wasn't the type to accept defeat. He was the type to regroup. To plan. To wait for the perfect moment to strike back. I'd been waiting for 15 years. I could wait longer. 6 months after the funeral, Wesley invited me to Thanksgiving dinner at his house. Just us, he promised. My wife, my kids, and you. No Austin, no drama. I almost said no, but something in his voice made me hesitate. His home was modest, comfortable. His wife, Paige, greeted me warmly. Their 2 kids were shy at first, then curious about the aunt they'd barely met. Over dinner, Wesley told stories about growing up. About Mom, about the times before everything fell apart. Do you remember when Mom used to make us do family talent shows? He asked, laughing. Austin would do magic tricks, you'd play piano, and I'd just stand there making fart noises. I did remember, before Dad's business took over. Before Austin became the golden child. Before I left and everything changed. I miss her, I said quietly. Me too. Wesley glanced at his kids. I don't want them growing up like we did. Fighting over money, choosing sides. I want him to know family means more than that. Paige squeezed his hand. It does. After dinner, Wesley and I sat on his back porch. The kids were inside watching a movie. Austin asked me to testify against you, he said suddenly. I went still. When? Last week. He's filing an appeal, claiming the power of attorney was obtained through coercion. He wants me to say you manipulated Dad. My heart was pounding. What did you tell him? Wesley looked at me steadily. I told him I'd testify. But for you, not against you. I couldn't speak. I was there. Sienna. Not often enough, but I was there. I saw how Dad was. How confused he got. How Austin would cancel his doctor's appointments because he was too busy. How Brianna complained about the medical bills. Wesley's voice hardened. You were the only one who actually took care of him. Who sat with him. Who made sure he ate and took his medicine. Austin just wanted him to sign papers. He gave you power of attorney because he trusted you. Because you were the only one who'd protect what he built instead of bleeding it dry. Wesley stood up. Say yeah, I'll testify. I'll tell the court exactly what I saw. I stood and hugged him. He hugged back. I'm sorry it took me so long, he whispered. Better late than never. The appeal was scheduled for January. Austin's new lawyer was aggressive, well known for winning impossible cases. They were claiming Dad had been mentally incompetent when he signed the power of attorney. That I'd manipulated a sick man for financial gain. Dominic was confident. We have medical records. We have testimony from Dad's doctors. We have Wesley now. They can't win this. But I wasn't so sure. I'd seen Austin manipulate juries before, in his business disputes. He was charismatic, convincing, good at playing the victim. The hearing was brutal. Austin's lawyer painted me as a cold, calculating daughter who'd abandoned her family and only returned when she smelled money. She disappeared for 15 years, he told the judge. Never called, never visited. Then suddenly, when her father's health declined, she swooped in. Isolated him, convinced him his other children were trying to steal from him. And then she stole everything herself. I sat there, listening to my life twisted into a weapon against me. Then Dominic called his witnesses. Dad's primary doctor testified about his lucid periods, about his clear understanding of financial matters during those times. The notary who'd witnessed the power of attorney signing testified about Dad's coherent state that day. And then Wesley took the stand. Austin's face went white when his brother was called. He'd expected Wesley to back him up, to stay silent at the very least. Wesley's testimony was devastating. He described Austin's neglect, the cancelled medical appointments, the times Austin had argued with Dad about money while Dad was barely conscious. The way Austin had treated the business like it was already his while Dad was still alive. My brother didn't care about Dad, Wesley said quietly. He cared about the inheritance. Sienna was the only one who actually loved him at the end. Austin stood up. That's a lie. The judge slammed his gavel. Sit down, Mr. Calloway. The judge ruled against Austin's appeal. The power of attorney stood. The sale of the estate stood. Everything I'd done was legally sound. Austin walked out of the courtroom without looking at anyone. Brianna followed, her face tight with rage. Wesley found me in the hallway afterward. He's not going to forgive this. I know. He's going to try something else. He always does. I nodded. Let him try. But I was already planning. Already thinking 3 steps ahead, the way I'd learned to do in my finance career. The way I'd had to do to survive in this family. 2 weeks later, Austin's construction company declared bankruptcy. Years of mismanagement, risky investments, and now the public scandal had finally caught up with him. His clients had abandoned him. His investors had pulled out. The golden child's empire was crumbling. I should have felt triumphant. Instead, I felt tired. Brianna called one last time. I hope you're happy. Austin's in the hospital. Stress-induced heart attack. He's 43 years old and his heart is failing because of what you did to him. I didn't do anything to him, I said calmly. I protected Dad's assets from being stolen. Austin did the rest to himself. You destroyed him. No, I just stopped protecting him from the consequences of his own actions. She hung up. I sat in my Chicago apartment, looking out at the city lights, and wondered when this would end. When the anger would fade. When family would mean something other than warfare. Austin survived the heart attack. But something in him broke. He stopped fighting, stopped calling, stopped trying to claw back what he'd lost. His bankruptcy went through. His house was foreclosed. Brianna filed for divorce, taking their son and what little money remained. I heard all of this through Wesley, who maintained contact with Austin despite everything. He still believed in second chances and redemption. He asked about you, Wesley told me over the phone one night. What did he ask? If you'd won, if destroying him made you feel better. What did you tell him? That you didn't destroy him. That he destroyed himself years ago, and you just refused to let him take you down too. I thought about that, about the 15 years of exile. The funeral humiliation, the lawsuit, the appeal. Did he understand? I don't think so. He still sees himself as the victim. The son who stayed, the one who sacrificed for family while you ran away. Wesley sighed. I don't think he'll ever understand. Good. I said, I don't need him to understand. I just need him to leave me alone. 3 months later, I got a letter from Brianna's lawyer. She was suing for part of the estate on behalf of Austin's son, claiming the child deserved his grandfather's legacy. Dominic laughed when I showed him. She's desperate. This won't go anywhere, but it did go somewhere. It went to family court, where a judge looked at a 10-year-old boy and asked why his grandfather's estate hadn't provided for him. I sat across from that judge and explained. Dad's original will was written before the boy was born. Dad had meant to update it but couldn't due to his dementia. The estate that existed when Dad died was worth $8,000. What about the $11 million? The judge asked. That was the value before the business collapsed. Before debts were paid. Before liquidation costs. I kept my voice steady. The power of attorney allowed me to manage the estate. I sold assets to prevent total loss. I paid Dad's medical bills, his debts, his funeral costs. What remained was divided according to the will. The judge looked at Brianna's lawyer. Do you have evidence that the defendant acted improperly in her management of the estate? They didn't, because I'd documented everything, every sale, every payment, every decision. All legal, all authorized. The case was dismissed, but I did something the judge didn't order. I set up a trust fund for Austin's son. $100,000, to be accessed when he turned 18. For college. For his future. I sent the paperwork to Brianna without comment. She never acknowledged it, never said thank you, but she stopped suing. Wesley called when he heard. You didn't have to do that. Yes, I did. The kid didn't choose his parents. He didn't choose this war. You're a better person than any of us deserve. Maybe, or maybe I was just tired of fighting. A year after Dad's funeral, I stood in front of the Callaway Foundation's first scholarship recipients. 20 students, 20 kids who'd chosen college over family expectations, who'd been called selfish for wanting more. I told them my story. Not all of it, just enough, about being the daughter who left, who was punished for ambition, who learned that sometimes protecting yourself means walking away from people who claim to love you. Your family might not understand, I said. They might call you selfish, ungrateful. They might try to make you feel guilty for choosing your own path. The students nodded. They understood. But here's what I learned. You can't build your future on someone else's foundation. You have to build your own. And sometimes that means leaving behind people who only valued you for what you could give them. After the ceremony, a young woman approached me. She looked nervous. My brother says I'm abandoning the family by going to college, she said quietly. He says I should stay home, work in the family business, be grateful for what I have. I looked at her for a long moment. Saw myself at 18. What do you want? I asked. I want to be an engineer. Then be an engineer. The people who really love you will support that. Everyone else is just trying to keep you small. She hugged me, crying. Thank you. Austin reached out 2 years after the funeral. An email. Short. Awkward. I've been in therapy, learning about family dynamics, control, resentment. My therapist says I need to make amends. I don't expect forgiveness. I just wanted you to know I understand now why you did what you did. I would have destroyed everything. I was already destroying it. You saved what you could, including me, even though I didn't deserve saving. The trust fund for my son was more than I ever did for you. Thank you. I read it 3 times. Looked for the trap, the manipulation, the scheme, but it felt genuine, broken, but genuine. I didn't respond immediately. Let weeks pass. Let the words settle. Finally, I replied, I don't know if we'll ever be family again. Too much damage, but I accept your apology. I hope you find peace. He wrote back, I hope you already have. I did. Not perfect peace, not complete healing, but enough. The Callaway Foundation grew. I expanded my career, bought a house in Chicago with a view of the lake, built a life that had nothing to do with Dad's legacy or Austin's shadow. Wesley and I had dinner monthly. Our kids met for holidays. Slowly, carefully, we rebuilt something that felt like family. Austin sent Christmas cards. I sent birthday cards for his son. We were civil, distant, safe. That was enough. 5 years after Dad's funeral, I sat in my office and looked at the financial report for the Callaway Foundation. We'd helped over 300 students. Funded scholarships worth $5 million. Changed lives. The remaining money from Dad's estate sat in careful investments. Growing, waiting, earmarked for future scholarships, future students, future lives changed. Austin had been right about one thing. I'd destroyed the empire he thought he was inheriting. But I'd built something better from the ashes. Something that helped people instead of feeding egos. My assistant knocked. Your brother's here. I looked up, surprised. Wesley? No, Austin. I hadn't seen Austin in person since the appeal hearing 5 years ago. I almost told her to send him away. But curiosity won. He looked different, older, calmer. The arrogance had been burned away by bankruptcy and divorce and failure. What remained looked almost human. I'm not here to ask for money, he said immediately, standing in my doorway. Or to fight. I just wanted you to see something. He pulled out his phone. Showed me a photo of his son, now 15, wearing a science fair medal. He won regional finals, engineering category. He's talking about college, about becoming a civil engineer. Austin's voice cracked slightly. He's got your brain, your drive. I see you in him more than I see me. That's good, I said quietly. He asked about you, about the trust fund. I told him the truth. That his aunt saved it when I would have spent it. That she gave him a future when I almost destroyed it. We stood there in silence. I can't give back the 15 years, Austin finally said. Can't undo the funeral. Can't erase the damage. But I wanted you to know that your nephew knows who you really are. Not the lies I told. The truth. He left. I sat in my office, looking at the Callaway Foundation logo on the wall, and felt something release in my chest. The money was never the point. The revenge was never the goal. It was always about this, refusing to let bitterness and greed define what family meant. Choosing to build something good from something broken. My brother had claimed the entire $11 million estate. But I'd already moved it somewhere he couldn't touch. Somewhere it would actually matter. And that was worth more than any inheritance.